Okay. Well, what a June it has been. I feel like we have a very packed agenda to cover tonight, and so we're going to try to make sure we're moving through all of our updates and conversations. So hang in there with us. We'll try to keep it at our hour like we always aim for. But I do want to just start off with a welcome. We've had a really busy month with a couple new ambassadors have joined us. And so I did want to at least call that out. I believe that Tommy from the Cleveland area is on the call and is one of our newest ambassadors. So I wanted to officially welcome him. I think there he is coming off camera and say thanks for joining us. I really appreciate you hopping on your first monthly call. But also, just for June, something I wanted to cover is a lot of the efforts we've been doing around partnering with our Pride events with all of our friends and fellow staff and volunteers with the American Cancer Society. It's been really amazing the last couple of weeks to see all of our efforts kind of come to fruition. The ACS staff really wanted to go in together on our efforts on representing ACS and ACS CAN across the state at 6 events so far we've attended. I will say that it's been really amazing to see that all of our booths across the state that we hosted all wore our ACS CAN Pride shirt that I am wearing here. And it was just really amazing to see all of our ACS colleagues represent ACS CAN at all of those events. We had a lot of really great collateral conversations. I've seen updates about some really good fundraising happening. I know this weekend Jody was selling some bracelets in Cincinnati. I know Julie Turner was selling some things with me in Dayton. Pam and Finley, we had some representation in Columbus last weekend. And to come, we still have Fremont in July, and then Akron's event isn't till August. So I just wanted to thank everyone for coming together and really focusing in on this really important topic and area of focus for us when it comes to our LGBTQ plus efforts and diversity and inclusion. So wanted to make sure if anyone that did attend events took photos to share them with me, because ACS and ACS CAN do want us to submit as many of those as possible. So if you did happen to go to any Pride events, even if you were set up or not with ACS or ACS CAN, please shoot them my way. And then, of course, we'll do the same for Fremont and Akron when those events happen in July and August. But I just wanted to take a few minutes to give that update since it reflects the month of June. Before we hand it over to Leo, a big chunk of the start of this call is definitely going to be around our statewide efforts because it has been quite a busy month here in June with our budget efforts. And then we'll kind of switch into some federal updates and fundraising updates. I know fundraising has been an ongoing topic we've been talking about the last 2 months, but we have a new announcement when it comes to fundraising to share tonight, even outside of our Lights of Hope efforts. So I'm excited about that. And then want to do some quick conversation around just representing ACS CAN at events. I know a lot of you have been out and about in the community going to other ACS events like Relay for Life. We have Pan Ohio coming up. A lot of kickoffs will be happening in August for our Making Strides Against Breast Cancer. Tom, you've been out in Springfield tabling like crazy. I've seen on Facebook. A lot of you have just been everywhere. And so I do want to give some time for sharing and brainstorming and talking about being at events and what's to come and what items you should have, what you're finding has been successful when you're at events, and things like that. So that's kind of our agenda for the night. So without further ado, Leo, all things statewide, wherever you think it's easiest to start with, and then we'll kind of talk through strategy and what's to come.
Yeah, let's go from least complicated to most. So copay accumulator bill was reintroduced. It's House Bill 177. It went to insurance committee at first, and the sponsor asked that it go to, I always mix the name up, the Health Policy Committee, I think is what it's called, or Public Health Policy. It's the new name of the Health Committee that we've had previously that's chaired by Scott Lips. The chair also said he wanted that bill in his committee instead of insurance. So the speaker sent it over to them instead, which is good for us because we know that Chairman Lips wants to get this bill done. Um, no hearings on it. They weren't really planning to start hearings on it until they come back from summer recess. So not a whole lot there. We might be reaching out to some of you to do some outreach to certain committee members if they're in your district, because there are quite a few new members on the health committee that they weren't around last year to vote on then House Bill 135, which was the copay accumulator bill last year. So we might want to just touch base on with those folks to see where they are. So that one's pretty quick and easy for right now. Um, the biomarker bill, a lot of work went into the biomarker bill behind the scenes over the past month and a half. Um, I was in and out of quite a few negotiations with health plans, with the Ohio Chamber. Of course, our sponsor was there with us along the way. It was a lot of back and forth, a lot of kind of nitpicking over should we use a or the on this line and what that would mean if we use one versus the other kind of thing. So real tedious. But we were able to get to a place where the Ohio Chamber was willing to support the bill with the changes that we negotiated. The biggest thing that we prevented from going into the bill with those negotiations is medical necessity. So the original ask from both the health plans and the chamber was to say that a health plan would only require biomarker testing if they deemed it was medically necessary. And we disagreed with that because we don't believe insurance companies should be deciding what's medically necessary, right? The treating physician should be the ones who decide what's medically necessary. And so we were able to negotiate away from that, which was great. However, last minute, as we were getting ready to go into our third committee hearing, the chair said that he wanted to add medical necessity to the bill, even though he wasn't part of our negotiations because he told us that he wanted us to do it, referring to the sponsor and of course us. Um, so that was a little frustrating. So we had quite a few back and forth conversations with him, and then he heard that NCOIL, which I'm not going to try to remember what the acronym means, but essentially it's a national group of legislators that deal with insurance issues, and they come together a couple times throughout the year. They have a big meeting third week of July where they're planning to endorse model legislation for biomarker testing. And it's a big group of Democrats, Republicans, independents, all different states. They're planning to use the bill in New York that passed on biomarker testing as the model legislation, which is a bill that we worked on. So we're pretty optimistic about what they're going to endorse. And the chair said he wants to see what they do first. So it could work in our favor that we actually ended up having to delay some of the hearings on our bill. So hopefully when we come back in the fall, we can hit the ground running on this and finally get it moved out of committee and into the floor for a vote. And then we'll start over in the Senate and see how far we can get there. Any questions about those two before we get really complicated? Okay, so the other issue that you all have been great with helping us advocate on is, of course, the state budget. So the good news is the Breast and Cervical Cancer Project is continuing funding at the current level, which is what we asked for. No one seems to be interested in changing that, which is great. So we can likely count on that to be a win in our column. Um, the bad news is around tobacco. There've been a lot of changes. So you'll recall we started with the governor's introduced version of the budget, increasing the funding for tobacco control and cessation to $20 million per year, up from $14.5 million per year. He also included a statewide flavor ban, or what we call a policy to end the sale of flavored tobacco. Um, that was all encompassing. It was all products, all flavors, including menthol, which is what we would typically support. Um, the House removed the flavors policy completely, and they reduced the funding back to essentially current level funding, so 14.5. Then it went over to the Senate, and the Senate, the first change they made was to drop funding to 7.5 million. So even further away from the 20 million that the governor proposed. And then the last day of their consideration of the budget bill, they included preemption language. So if you'll recall, tobacco preemption is what we got the governor to veto at the very beginning of the year, that first week of January. This will prevent local municipalities from passing ordinances to end the sale of flavored tobacco. So what Columbus did in December and what Cleveland is considering doing and what other towns and cities are considering doing, this keeps them from doing that. So we don't like that, right? It takes local control away from them. So they put that back into the budget bill. And it does not grandfather in the cities that have already passed something. So while Columbus is getting ready to implement what they passed, they wouldn't be able to if this makes it all the way through. In addition to that, they put the flavor ban back in the budget, but they didn't do it the same way the governor did. They watered it down, and so it is only for e-cigarettes, not all tobacco products, and it's only some flavors, not all flavors. It does not include menthol, and it does not include FDA approved um, e-cigarettes and some of the different products that go along with e-cigarettes. So it's like some of the liquid pods and things like that are also exempted from that policy. Not good, right? We can't support that. So there's been a lot back and forth on this one. I did a couple media interviews. Vince did one. Barb did a letter to the editor. You know, we really appreciate all the messaging that you guys have helped us with. I think we've had like 5 or 6 action alerts, yeah, on this. I know that's a lot, and we really appreciate you all being part of this effort. Where we are right now is that the budget has been sent to what's called the conference committee, and apologize if I'm saying something you already know, but I know not everyone knows. So the conference committee is made up of 3 House members, 3 senators. 4 of them are Republican, 2 Democrats, and it's their job to present a final version of the bill for the legislature to send to the governor for his signature. So that's where we are right now. They should be done by Wednesday. That was initially what we were told over the weekend, um, allowing the governor to have Thursday and Friday to sign it. So the Ohio Constitution says that he has to sign the new budget before midnight on June 30th, so that it can go into effect on July 1st. That's the plan. Today, the House put an amendment into a bill that they're going to pass tomorrow. It's not a bill we care about, it's an unrelated issue, but the amendment that they're putting in will extend the budget deadline to July 7th, to allow them more flexibility to continue negotiations. This was kind of on folks' radar, but not really. I was tracking it in case the Senate and House couldn't agree on what should be in the final version of the budget. Come to find out, the House can't agree with itself. So the Speaker of the House and his delegate to the conference committee, Rep. Edwards, a fellow Republican, are not in agreement on something. No one knows what. And it could be multiple things, quite frankly. We just don't know. And so we are trying to figure out, are they going to actually pass the budget out of conference committee this week, or is it going to go into next week? The governor has already said publicly that he opposes this and wants them to just get to work, hash out whatever they need to, and send him the budget in order for him to sign it by Friday. We know that the governor is not thrilled with the preemption language being added into the bill. He told a couple of folks that work with our partners that he had been talking to the Senate president about the flavor ban piece and negotiating that language, and that's what he thought was going to be in the Senate version of the budget. He was not aware that the Senate president was going to put preemption in the budget. So he feels like he was kind of part of a bait and switch with the Senate president. And so now he's in this tough position of, do I sign this because it has a flavor ban, even though it's not what I wanted, or do I line item veto the preemption? So typically the governor vetoes an entire bill, but with the budget bill or any other bill that has an appropriation, he can veto certain provisions of the bill. So in this scenario, we're asking him, well, we don't like the flavor ban. We think that he's okay with it, and so we're not going to push him too much on it. We'll let him know that we disagree with him, but we're really pushing him on vetoing the preemption language, because that's going to make it really hard to continue a lot of the good work that we want to do, and quite frankly, roll back about 10 years worth of work that cities have done at the local level. And in addition to that, we're also trying to get the funding restored in conference committee. So that's also on our plate. The governor's team is also asking the conference committee to increase the funding level as well. That's a lot. So if you have questions, if you need clarification, I totally understand.
So you might be asking, what next, right? So we've done 5 action alerts throughout this month. Like Leo said, it's been a lot. We've sent emails, went to social, did some calls, emailed again. Our most recent, if you haven't filled it out, you have another day or two, right? From Friday's update email. If you weren't able to do that action alert that's going to the conference committee, please fill that out. Take a minute to fill that out. The conference committee members, can still get that while they're working this next day. So next steps would be, we've been doing patch through calls to the conference committee, and now we're also switching to, starting as of today, 50 calls a day, right, Leo, are going to the governor's office. And we again call those patch through calls. And so we've put some funding to that, to make sure that our voices are heard in Governor DeWine's office. And so now we'd like to kind of lean on all of you as our core volunteers. We think it might be overload if we tried to go to a 6th action alert directed to Governor DeWine. So we've decided to go to social and kind of a visual. We have a billboard that has been put up on the corner of the Rife building across from the State House. So anyone that walked into the Rife Center today in Columbus definitely saw this sponsored billboard by ACS Can. If you follow us on any of our social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter today, we posted a photo of the billboard, and we have directly tagged DeWine with some verbiage asking him to veto again and support us, continue supporting vetoing the preemption language. So what we're asking of all of you, if you're willing, after tonight's call, I will send that photo. You can obviously pull it from social right now too, if you'd like, but we'd like all of you to do the same if you can. Use the photo of the billboard and use language that I'll give you, that again, we just posted today, and directly tag in your posts GOV Mike DeWine, and I'll make sure all of this is in the email, how to do that. But we'd like to go to social this week with this visual of the billboard. I'll just quickly share my screen so you can see it. I've got our Facebook page pulled up currently. So this was posted a couple hours ago, but in person, I can only imagine what this looks like. It's kind of, it wraps around the side of the building, so there is kind of a continuation. Our logo's here on this side with a few other kids that are in the picture, but it directly calls out Governor DeWine, Choose Ohio's Kids, veto preemption and House Bill 33, and it does again have our logo and says paid for by the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network. So this is here on the corner, and again, we're directly tagging him to ask for his continued support and helping us veto. this line item. So we just ask that all of you help us in the next few days if you're willing to go to social, but also if you're willing to call with that same language, we'll provide you the number to Governor DeWine's office. And we think having some of our personal um, stories and posts will help in addition to the patch through calls that a company is helping us complete today and over the next few days. So that's our next steps and our kind of call to action as we really just hope for finishing out the week and getting some of this fixed. Pam, your hand's up.
Yeah, when you first started talking about that, did you say phone calls to lawmakers?
The
Or
conference committee, correct. So
okay, so you
those,
did say those were phone calls too, and then also
yep.
the lines. Okay,
And then
thanks.
today we started DeWine. Yep. So both are getting them now. It was originally just the conference committee. We started calls in addition today to DeWine's office. Can Leo and I answer any other questions about what's happening, what we're going to do next to finish out the week? Again, I just want to amplify what Leo said. Our action alerts have been really successful. In fact, I'll say this most recent email that we did to the conference committee has been our second best action alert we've had with a 63% conversion rate. So just thank you all for completing that, sharing it. You know, our voices are what we have left and really making sure these select members of the conference committee, you know, hear us and also DeWine. So thank you for all that you've done to make sure this last month those action alerts have been filled out and shared across Ohio. And we'll just try to finish the week strong and share updates Friday in our weekly update and beyond. If we hear more, we'll definitely be sure to reach out beyond tonight's call. But any other questions about any of our statewide efforts before we switch into federal? Leo, thanks for all you're doing. I just know that it's a lot, and even on vacation and all the things that you've been balancing, just really appreciate you.
And I'll stay on in case there's questions that come up, but we'll go off camera.
Yeah,
Thanks all.
thanks. Okay, so let's just switch gears into our federal efforts. The two biggest legislation you've seen probably from our last few Friday updates have been around our Multi-Cancer Early Detection Act and our Prostate Screening for Him Act. Both of those links have been in my Friday email updates just to allow it to be really easy for you to go to congress.gov directly and follow both of these. I will say that we've had a lot of big wins in the last week or so, particularly around MCED, our multi-cancer early detection. We had two targets from our representatives for co-sponsors of MCED, Bob Latta in District 5 and Mike Carey in District 12. And they're targets particularly because of committees that they sit on. So they can really make a big impact based on their involvement on certain committees. Julie Turner in District 12. I know she couldn't be on tonight. She's at a Doobie Brothers concert, super fun. And she's going to watch the recording, but I did want to give an update for Julie and just shout out that she was able to successfully last week get Mike Carey to co-sponsor as one of our targets. That's a huge win. Anyone that we can get to be a co-sponsor is a win, but especially when we have particular targets given to us from our federal team to focus in on. When we do see them finally co-sponsor and sign, it's a huge win for everyone. So I did want to thank Julie for, she sent probably 5 emails before they finally responded back to her to set up a meeting. And so I kind of wanted to just make that an overall message of tonight's meeting, that I know sometimes when we reach out to our lawmakers, we don't get direct responses or response at all. And so I think this is just a really good example of continuing to find a reason to connect, another reason maybe you can call or email. I will say Julie also tried adding pictures to a couple of her emails so they had a visual. That was a suggestion I had of, hey, maybe just send a photo of you wearing one of your ACS can shirts at a tabling event you've done or at Cancer Action Day or when you went to DC. Because then it kind of puts a face to the name, especially for those that have new members or don't know your member yet. In this case, Julie is new to District 12, so she has not met Mike Carey, and the office doesn't quite have a relationship with her. So I think trying to do that and adding some personal touch, like a photo, when you are sending an email can help, and just never giving up. So I kind of wanted to share that example of a recent win for us and how just continuing to stay on top of it and finding reasons to email or write a letter or call really is going to bring us some success. So we're seeing a lot of movement on both MSED and PSA for him. We're going to continue to reach out to Bob Latta's office as a target for MSED. I know that's Pam Neese's area and her daughter Melody. So we'll keep chipping away. Pam was able to get LTEs posted, letters to the editor in that district. So now it's just hoping to continue to reach out and see if we can make movement. But I would just add for everyone to keep following those links from my Friday emails so you can see updates on co-sponsors, where the bills are, and I'll continue to give updates. If we go to social media, particularly around either of these, I'll make sure to share that with the whole team across the state so we can all get behind that. But I think things will really begin to ramp up here in the summer for our federal work as things kind of die down on the state side. So just look for more updates to come. We'll, of course, switch really heavily into funding asks too. I think the Fed team has told us that they're going to be sending us some new resources around asking for increase in funding for the National Institute of Health and things like that. So look for more things to come. If you have not been to our Google Drive to pull some of the one-pagers, I'm also going to share my screen quickly. I just want to make sure that I highlight our Google Drive is up to date with our resources for the federal. So when you are here in our drive under our resource folder, you'll see a folder here named legislation, and it's broken out by state and federal. So here in this case, you can look at either of the folders for PSA for him or MCED. And I'm trying to make sure as I get resources, you have access to them as well. So if you're wanting to reach out to any of your lawmakers to talk about these two legislation efforts federally, all of our one-pagers and fact sheets are here. So just wanted to make sure that I did show that. The link for our Google Drive, I'll make sure stays in our Friday update emails, so it's quick and easy for you to be able to go to the drive. But just wanted to highlight that there are a lot of great one-pagers here. I know, Jody, you recently were just trying to connect with your congressman. Leah Winstrup in District 2 just signed on as a co-sponsor. Vince and Pam Mangus and Lorna. I know Amelia Sykes is one of our 5 sponsors as well. So we're really fortunate right now for MSED to have 5 sponsors. And again, we'll just keep chipping away at hoping to get LATA as a target and any others. So if you're wanting to connect and need help, please let me know, but the resources are there on our Google Drive, and we can work together on sample emails or messaging and what that might look like. But wanted to ask if anyone had anything to share as far as around our federal work or any questions that I can answer. And then I'm actually going to pass it over to Vince to share a separate, really great opportunity that he was able to just do in DC. Pam, I think your hand was up first, and then Jody.
Okay, thank you. Just a reminder, while they may not be in their offices, lawmakers are back in district for this week and next week. So it might be a good opportunity to at least get into the office and, talk with their staff, if nothing else.
Great call out there. Yeah, for the holiday season. Thanks for that reminder, Pam. Jody, did you have a question or thought?
Yes, losing my voice, so I'm going to do my best.
Oh,
But I just wanted to say that kind of along what Pam just said, I was able to attend a town hall meeting with our new representative, and it was fantastic because they're so casual, and everyone had an opportunity to speak and even stayed afterwards. So if you go online and check, it's just a super casual way to get your face in front of them, introduce yourself, and to meet with them. And it was very easy. I was very comfortable. You know, it didn't feel as formal, as nerve wracking as some of the meetings do. Cancer Action Day can maybe feel. So I was very pleased with it. I will go to others that he holds. If your representatives are doing those, you should definitely check it out.
Jody,
I
was
love
that in person or on telephone?
No, it was in person. He held it at a church in Anderson Township, which is the suburb of Cincinnati that I live in. So, but he's holding them all around Cincinnati in different areas on different dates. And on his website, it has a schedule posted. And really, it was so great that he's doing it. And I definitely will be taking advantage of any of those opportunities that I can.
No, I'm so glad you brought that up. And I know that you emailed me personally, Jody, and printed, some of the one pagers and talked to them. And I just think absolutely try to go online and go to your representatives page and see if they have a calendar like that, like Jody mentioned. Kind of do some research on, looking at when your representative might be in the local offices and not in DC. As Pam mentioned, with the holiday coming up this week, next week would be a good time to try to schedule a local meeting or call to connect with them and just make sure you visit our Google Drive to pull up those multi-cancer early detection and PSA for him one pagers and get those emailed or sent to their offices for consideration and asking them to consider to be a co-sponsor if they aren't already. But a lot of really amazing things so far happening and excited to see what's to come. So keep up the great work, everyone. And then Vince, I wanted to give you a minute to share about the opportunity you were able to have last week representing us in DC for palliative care.
I will get into that one second, but to follow up one thing that Jody just said, I attended both a town hall and an open house for Amelia Sykes since she was new in the district, and that opened up an opportunity to get better connected with her staff. So going to the town halls and whatever larger opportunities really does pay dividends, and getting to know the people in the office and making good connections. So Jody, that's great that you did that. Last Wednesday, the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network is a member of the Patient Quality of Life Coalition. It's about 50 different organizations, and their big initiative right now is to get Pachita actually from the sidelines to the headlines and see if they can do anything to get that bill some momentum for signature. The meeting, the lobby day that they had last week was to coincide with the two lead sponsors' introduction to having it introduced to the Senate. The bill has in the past passed the House very easily, but it's always met the resistance in the Senate. So that's where they're trying to get it in. Senator Capito and Senator Baldwin, Senator Capito from West Virginia, Baldwin from Wisconsin, we're going to introduce it. I have not heard if it was introduced last week, and I followed up to see if it was there. And they're on break this week, so I want to get introduced. We were meeting with different senators to advocate for co-sponsorship. So I was paired with Mary Coast from Indiana. We met with our 4 senators. Well, their representatives for the health initiatives. So the Sherrod Brown meeting was pretty simple because he has co-sponsored twice in the past. So it's a pretty safe assumption. And it sounded like he would co-sponsor again. The interesting meeting was, I was really expecting some pushback or a more difficult path with Senator Vance. And the person who handles his health issues, his father works in hospice. So that opens the door a little bit. When discussing everything, it wasn't as though we had to fully educate him or have the discussions around hospice that it's just not end of life, it's quality of life. And that made things very much easier to have the discussions. And actually was a fairly positive meeting. No guarantees from it, but I came out of it, as well as the other people, feeling as though there'd be a decent shot at getting Senator Vance to co-sponsor. And then, as a side note, as we were leaving to go to our 2 Indiana meetings, the government relations director that we were with from ACS CAN, we were walking by and he hit me and he says, "That's Senator Vance over there. Let's go talk to him." So I turned around, ran after him and yelled, "Senator Vance!" And he stopped, introduced myself. And I said, "Can I get a photo with you?" And then after the photo, the person was with us from ACS CAN, Nishith was saying, he's mouthing behind me, "Bring up Pachita, bring up Pachita." So I said, "By the way, we just met with Matthew regarding Pachita. We really would like to have you co-sponsor the bill once introduced." So he did give me the, I'll talk to Matthew and we'll see what we can do. Obviously non-committal, but at least it wasn't a no, which from some people we've had that before. So that was positive. But a very, very good day. ACS CAN had 16 volunteers out of the 49, I think, that were in attendance. So ACS CAN was very well represented. And that's what we do. So it was pretty easy. Actually, it was easier than Leadership Summit Lobby Day because it was only 1 topic as opposed to 3. So it was, each meeting was pretty relaxed, but very good, a very, very good day.
Yeah, what an awesome opportunity. And I had to share my screen to show your photo. And I know it was in Friday's update email, but I just love the story of you running down the hallway and calling for him for a picture. So kudos, Spence, and thanks for representing Ohio and getting to meet with Senator Brown and Vance's staff. And
So Vince, who
representing
is
us there.
Matthew?
That's his health aide. Senator Vance's aide.
Oh, that's the health aide. And interestingly, probably within a half hour after our meeting, I had an email from him. He doesn't have any cards. So he sent me a very quick email that looks forward to working with us on that. So I thought, again, the aides all, they have back-to-back meetings all day long. And so for him to take a little time and shoot me a quick message, I thought was very positive also, that it just stayed top of mind with him. And then we met with, I don't know if anyone would have met this person, but Francis Goins, who I think is made a really good connection with him as well. It was really nice to meet with him, and extremely receptive to the stories and the introduction of the bill. Again, I just don't know if it got introduced, and if it didn't get introduced last week, they're on the 4th of July break. So the intention was to have this co-sponsors lined up.
Yeah, we'll absolutely keep everyone up to date. But again, thanks for representing us and sharing, and what a cool opportunity. I want to switch gears to kind of wrap us up around fundraising. I'll try not to take too much time, but want to give a Lights of Hope update. So I know things have really been ramping up for us in our fundraising efforts. We have 22 Lights of Hope pages made, and just really appreciate everyone coming off of our own internal Ohio challenge. Of our 22 pages, there were only 3 individuals who didn't meet the challenge. So amazing. Thank you all. Round of applause for really rallying behind Pam and Vince and I's challenge to all of you to try to increase your fundraising from May to June for those of you that do have Lights of Hope pages. Just it was so awesome to see throughout our weekly updates that we get on Mondays. The progress that we made. And so we want to get everyone together if possible. We'll try to send a survey to everyone that qualified, the 18 individuals, to do kind of an in-person just gathering together. We're not going to call it a meeting because we really want it just to be quality time. We don't get to do a lot of in-person activity together across the state. So we're going to try to find a central location. And for those that met the challenge, we'll shout that out Friday in the email and email everyone individually for this week's update to try to get together and plan a time for a little kind of potluck style gathering and spending some quality time together. But I did want to share since Friday's update, if you did see that in the email, we've raised nearly $1,100 in a week since Friday. Not even, that would be in a couple days. Since the last report, we went from being 4th in the country, just behind New Jersey, to 3rd. So we have passed, and so we are just on the tails, my friend, of Florida. And we knew Florida was coming for us, right? We shared that a couple months ago that they called us out on social media, and they really want to keep their number 2 spot that we took last year from them. So we are just about $1,000 behind Florida right now. We've raised just over $17,800. And they're at 18.8. So just under about $1,000 behind Florida. California is sitting just over 22,000. So really, we're doing an amazing job year over year. We're ahead about 24% from where we were as a state last year. So just thank you everyone for really ramping up, sharing your pages, creating your pages if you hadn't yet. I do also want to call out Vince is sitting right now individually nationwide at number 3 in the country, which is really great. Barb and Julie within the top 15, 20. So just really awesome work as a team and all of us coming together to try to get to our goal of 57,000 as a state. I just really appreciate everyone's energy, and we don't want to take off our foot from the gas. Again, we know Florida is going to be wanting to keep that number 2 spot, and we want to try to hold that from last year. So just really appreciate everyone's efforts. If you have questions as you're working on your fundraising, please reach out to us. I've seen so many of you going to events. Christy was just at Relay for Life over the weekend. So many of you have been tabling and going to different ACS events, community events. Again, I know Tom has been doing some First Fridays in Springfield. Vince, you went to a recent partnership event with one of the community centers in Akron. And I just know there's a lot of things you're doing. So does anyone want to share some successes or struggles that you're having with Lights of Hope, and how can we as a team help? And are there any questions about your Lights of Hope efforts? Jody and Leah, I know you just had a great meeting with TQL. So want to hear from you all. What's happening and what kind of updates or questions do you have when it comes to Lights of Hope?
I just want to throw something out there about Lights of Hope. And again, I'm sorry about my voice, so I'm trying. But Leah and I did have a great meeting, and I wanted to suggest if anyone is getting any corporate sponsorships, that to enhance that, if there's any way they'll let you have employee or staff engagement. So let's say the company will only sponsor you for $1,000. Maybe they would let you come to a cafeteria one day and sell Lights of Hope at the lunch. Or maybe they would be excited about having some kind of team competition to seeing who could raise the most money. So just kind of thinking of another layer for a corporate sponsorship. If you can get them interested in something fun, and it doesn't have to be a big, huge project. Like I said, it could just be attending a lunch, or maybe it's waiting in the entryway one day when everyone's leaving work and selling Lights of Hope. You might be able to enhance that sponsorship with those kind of additional donations. I know TQL is very open to it, and we definitely have some things in the work with them. But I've also asked a couple of other places that I'm kind of working on as well, and I was surprised at how open they were to something like that.
I think that's a great idea,
Everything
Jody.
Jody said times 10.
Incentives, yeah, competition, absolutely. I think the biggest thing, I did get to go to a meeting with Julie from one of her corporate or connections in the community. It's a financial advisor group. I'm noticing that connection that you can build with these companies, really letting them be involved in the process of these Lights of Hope bags. We talked to them about letting their employees decorate the bags, how we could bring some bags to them, and as they're trying to sell bags, as a company to support Julie, they could let their individuals decorate their own bags, and then Julie can pick them up from them. So if you need Lights of Hope bags or any supplies, let me know. I can ship them directly to you. Anything that you might need to help you in that process. I know I'm meeting Tom on Wednesday to get him some bags. However I can support you in your efforts, as you're trying to do tabling events, or connecting with potential donors and sponsors, please keep me in the loop. And that's what I'm here for, and really want to help in that process. I too personally am, trying to ramp up my own fundraising. Have to give a shout out to Lauren. I mean, around her birthday, she had some fun when she was in Michigan, and got her friend to jump in the cold waters of Michigan, right? Because people were supporting her and buying Lights of Hope. So it's just been really fun to see all of you really sharing throughout social media and abroad, all of your pages, and making it fun and personal and connecting. I really think is what helps bring us success. So just keep up the great work. I did want to call out a tip as well, for anyone that is using social media. So something we had heard from our social media team is that Facebook, once again, has started to work on their algorithms and how they're changing things and trying to hide things from people's timelines. So something I did want to note is that they have shared with us, if you are going directly to your page and trying to share to social, they're not seeing as much success in that way, because Facebook is able to hide. They notice when things like a fundraiser like that are being shared to their platform, and they're kind of getting away with algorithms to keep them less visible to your friends on Facebook. I know I personally, during the challenge, was trying to share my page and realized personally that I generally have a lot of success with Facebook, but I didn't have as many likes, and I definitely wasn't getting any donations. And I realized after hearing that update, I was sharing directly from the app and from my dashboard. People are saying that if you just make a post now and then put your link in the comments as a comment, and just tell people when you're making the post, see the link in my comments, that Facebook isn't catching that, and that more people are getting eyes on it. So I kind of just want to share my screen to show you what I mean. But that is an example I wanted to call out. So here I am at the Lights of Hope dashboard. Generally, if I'm on my page, I would be logged in here like I am, and I would just click to go to Facebook here under the Ask Friends to Donate. Or if I was in the smartphone app on my iPhone, I would be logged in and I would just click this, and it would go, help me make a post directly to my page. What they're saying instead to do is just go to your page and copy your URL, and instead make that, when you're on Facebook, a comment. So just as an example, I would go here and I would, try to make a post and put, support me here, link in comments, and I would just go ahead and post this and then comment as myself, copying my URL that I just copied. So I guess that's just a weird algorithm of Facebook right now. If you've noticed maybe a shift in people not catching your posts as much because you're directly sharing from either the app or your dashboard, that could be why. And again, I can relate that personally. I've seen that happening. So I'm going to try this new way of just making it a comment and see if that brings me some success. Vince, I know you're nodding your head. I think you too said you kind of noticed a shift in that. I know Julie had called me and asked like, hey, why is Facebook seeming to be a little weird with me not seeing as much response? So I wanted to make sure I shared that with anyone that's on social to give you just some tips and tricks of what's been shared with us from the team.
They want the fundraisers to go through Facebook. So if it's not directly through Facebook, then the algorithms aren't as advantageous.
They're getting smarter and smarter. Yeah. So we're going to learn as we go. So wanted to make sure I shared that tip. Pam, do you have a thought or question?
So is the best thing to actually put what the fundraiser might be or a photo or whatever, and then go ahead and also add the comment so they see what it is that they're going to be clicking on?
Yeah, I think of a photo or an image is a really great idea, and I can kind of call out, here I'll just visit Tom as an example. Hopefully he doesn't mind. I know he's on the call, but yeah, I think any kind of images you have of previous displays, or I know Tom has even recently used like our ACS CAN logo. So here's an example that Tom recently put, again, a sample photo of from last year, his display in Springfield here with a really beautiful picture. And then you can put the link in the comment. I know he's done a lot of others, a flyer that he made here with a QR code and the link. So I do think, yes, Pam, having some kind of visual. And if you need a visual, say you haven't done a home display before, please let me know, because I've got some great photos that I could share that are Lights of Hope, and I can make sure those are on the Google Drive too. But I think doing a post with a photo and then putting the link in the comments is what they're suggesting.
I thought if you go to the main page and you click settings and you go down and you can hit copy your URL to put into the comments, I thought it generates the picture from your it doesn't generate the picture. I thought it did when you put the URL in there.
Only if you're doing it as the status, but not if you're doing it as a comment. So you're wanting to try to remove it from the post itself is what they're saying, and just put text and maybe upload a photo, but make it an actual comment. Yeah, what they're noticing is if you're just directly sharing that as the post itself, that's where it's getting hidden in the algorithms. But generally it would populate something for you if you were making it that status or post. That is true. So just a tip I wanted to share. Again, keep up the amazing work on both trying to secure sponsorship, doing your personal fundraising. If you have questions about Lights of Hope, especially some of our newer ambassadors, please reach out and we're here to help again. And our Google Drive does have a folder just allocated to Lights of Hope resources. I know we've covered that in previous meetings and shown that too. So just reach out to us, let us know how we can help and use the resources we have. So to wrap us up, I wanted to share a new fundraising approach that we're going to try to take and have some fun with. We have been challenged by our friends in Michigan, that state up north, as many of us call it, especially during football season. This came out of SLA Summit as a really fun, just competitive idea that we wanted to try to do a challenge between Ohio and Michigan. And some of our other peers in the Midwest have talked about a company called Double Good and a lot of success that they've been having with Double Good, which is popcorn. So it's an online platform that allows virtual fundraising. In fact, the company is really just based around giving people an opportunity to fundraise, but also enjoy popcorn. And who doesn't love popcorn? They provide the website platform for you to make events and pages, and they give you 50% of the sales, which is a really great return for online fundraising. And from what I've heard from Lauren, because she's bought some from some of our other peers in the Midwest, is it's really good popcorn. So I'm excited to try it. But we're going to try to do a little popcorn challenge of Ohio versus Michigan. The thing about Double Good is it's a short amount of time that they have these stores open. So it's only 4 days of fundraising and really trying to promote popcorn sales. I'll be sending everything in this Friday's email, but I'll share my screen here just briefly. Again, it's all online, or they do have an app. You can download the Double Good app on your phone. We've already created the page. So Michigan has their own page. We will have our own page. We want it to be after the 4th of July holiday, not to compete with holiday activities with friends and family. So we will be doing July 10th through the 14th. So in 2 weeks from today, on Monday, July 10th, that 4 days, we will try to just sell as much popcorn as possible online. And again, 50% of the proceeds will come back to us. So essentially, I will just share this code with all of you. You can go online. I'll share the steps in the email on how to make a page. You can see that, for example, Pam and I have already made our pages and are ready to go. And so I can kind of share just personally, since I'm logged in, it just asks you to do a photo. So I've got a little photo of Little Man and I. It does say, 50% benefits us. You can set your own personal goal. And it's really, once our date on July 10th starts, this basically becomes a purchasing site for individuals to log on. But if you just do some digging about Double Good, I went again before we decided to do this and have looked. You can see a lot about them, the different bags of popcorn. They're anywhere from $9 to $12, I think, is the most I have seen. So again, I've heard really great reviews on it, and we're really excited that this can be kind of an easy, just online way for us to raise funds, similar to our t-shirt sale that we did. And it can be a fun competition between us and Michigan. We'll be tracking both of our pages and providing updates on how we're doing, and just try to compete against both states to see who can raise the most and sell the most popcorn. But really appreciate anyone that's interested and excited about this to make a page. Again, I'll share that code and how you can do that. And we'll have some fun the week of July 10th, promoting some popcorn sales and raising easy funds for all of our efforts, trying to get to our $57,000 goal. So really appreciate if everyone can kind of get behind that and make a page and try to, if you think that's a good fit for you, sell some popcorn. Any questions I can answer about that? Again, more details to come in the Friday email. We've got 2 weeks to prep. We've made social media images that we'll be sharing. So myself and my counterpart in Michigan, I'll quickly share that, but these will be in the email to make sure everyone has them. But we've got some images that will, make sure everyone has that say, Ohio versus Michigan, which state can raise the most through that July 10th through 14th. And we've got just some really fun, one for Ohio, one just for the Michigan team. And it's kind of a countdown of how many days left. So all of these resources we'll make sure that we share with you, but we'll of course announce the winner. But all of that material will be a part of our Friday updates and how you can create your page. So if you want to go ahead and make a page, again, Pam and I already have and are ready to go before July 10th, so we can have a really great start. So look for that Friday in the email, and you can go ahead and create your page as we prep for July 10th to launch the actual store. And we have to beat Michigan. We just have to. No questions, right? But thank you all for all of your efforts. Any feedback from the team on being out in the community, want to give you opportunity here these last few minutes to talk about any upcoming events that you're going to, successes you have found if you haven't already shared, or things you're looking forward to. I know Tracy was just at a health fair and I sent her some pamphlets and things for ACS Can. So anybody have thoughts or questions and things you've been doing out in the community for ACS Can?
I don't know that I would say it's like, this is Leah, by the way. I have found some success because I'm newer, so I'm trying to build that confidence with like talking to more people about this. And being a thriver, especially lately, I found myself at the doctor more than I would like to be. And while I'm sitting there in the waiting room, or if I'm talking to a doctor that's about to give me some treatment, I found it helpful to calm my nerves by talking about these things, talking about ACS Can. And it's shocking to me how many people they don't know what that is. And they know the American Cancer Society, but they don't know of ACS Can. So while sitting there waiting for treatment or waiting for them to unexpectedly tell me that I have to have eye surgery on a Wednesday, I just take advantage of that opportunity and talk to them about it. Talk to them about ACS Can and what it does and what we promote and what our goals are and what our mission is. And I haven't gotten any donations from it yet. I've gotten some verbal commitments, but nothing concrete. But it's like, hey, at least the word's out there. So I find a lot of help. I find that it helps me build my confidence because I'm talking about it more and taking advantage of those, I guess, little opportunities. But I think little things make big impacts. So I'm hoping that that seed, since it's been planted, actually grows some money out of it with donations. So we'll see. But that was something that really helped me the past few weeks in the middle of some, unexpected times. Was I still was able to take advantage and talk to the doctors and nurses and, people in the office while I'm sitting there waiting for 2 hours. If you're going to make me wait, like, you're going to at least listen to me about ACS Can. So that was really helpful for me.
I love that you shared that, Leah. And I think to add to that, a suggestion or thought that I know other ambassadors would maybe share too is we do have a template on our Google Drive for business cards. So if you do want to create ACS Can cards to keep on you, I know Pam Neese, I've watched her pull one out of her wallet before and hand it to someone. As you're having some of those conversations, it's a great opportunity to say, here's my name and email, if you want to keep in touch and get involved or learn more. But also secondary to that, on the back of her business card, Pam has put her QR code for her Lights of Hope page. So when you are on your page, I'm not currently on Lights of Hope, I'm on Double Good right now, but this is just an example because it is this easy. When you right click your mouse, you can create a QR code for any page that you're on. So say you were sitting on your Lights of Hope page right here, you could right click and create a QR code and download that and put that on a flyer, put that on the back of a business card. But to your point, Leah, I guarantee the more and more you talk to it, someone will turn into a donation or want to get involved. And I just applaud you for that. And that would just be kind of a level of amplification that I would say as a tip, is to, maybe think about keeping a card or flyer on you. I know Julie Turner keeps flyers in her card with her Lights of Hope page. All of us have seen it and maybe done it. And so I just wanted to make sure to add that. And again, I think that's a great tip and outlet, and just applaud you for saying that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other thoughts or questions to wrap us up? I appreciate you staying a few minutes over. Again, what a June. We're not done with this week and all the efforts we still have. So thank you again for all of your work. And we'll make sure that after we send the recording tomorrow of this call, that you have the picture and the messaging to post and tag DeWine with our billboard asking him to veto the preemption language. So thank you again for all that you've done already and will continue to do to really try to finish the month strong with our efforts, especially around the budget. So good to see all of you. Keep in touch if you have questions, and I hope you have a great rest of your evening. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Sarah.
Bye, everyone.
Sarah. Bye-bye.
Bye.